Imagine owning a yacht so luxurious it has its own helipad and submarine. Now imagine owning several. That's the reality for the Sultan of Brunei. His fleet of super yachts includes vessels that are essentially floating palaces. But how does one man accumulate such astronomical wealth, and more importantly, how does he spend it? Meet Hassan al-Bolkiah, the Sultan of Brunei, a man with a net worth that'll make your jaw drop. We're talking over $30 billion. That's more zeros than most of us will see in our bank accounts in 10 lifetimes. So where did all this money come from? Well, it turns out sitting on top of massive oil and natural gas reserves is a pretty good way to build a fortune. But having billions is one thing, spending it is another. And boy, does the Sultan know how to spend. From gold-plated jets to car collections that would make Jay Leno blush, we're about to take a tour through a world of luxury that most of us can only dream about. Get ready to see what it really means to live like royalty. Sultan's Garage. How many cars do you think the Sultan owns? 100? 500? Try nearly 9,000 vehicles. That's right, the Sultan of Brunei has amassed a collection of cars worth around $5 billion. To put that into perspective, that's more cars than some small countries have on their roads. And we're not talking about your average family sedans here. The Sultan's collection is a car enthusiast's dream come true. It includes 600 Rolls-Royces, 450 Ferraris, and 380 Bentleys. But these aren't just run-of-the-mill luxury cars. Many of them are custom-made, one-of-a-kind vehicles that you won't find anywhere else in the world. Take, for example, the gold-plated Rolls-Royce designed with an open roof for an umbrella. It's the kind of car that makes you wonder if the Sultan woke up one day and thought, you know what would be cool? A car that's literally worth its weight in gold. Now you might be wondering where on earth the Sultan keeps all these cars. Well, he's got that covered too. His collection is housed in 110 air-conditioned garages around his palace. That's right, these cars live better than most people. They've got climate control, protection from the elements, and probably better security than Fort Knox. But owning thousands of luxury cars isn't just about buying them and parking them. It's a massive operation to keep them all in top condition. The Sultan employs a team of 30 car specialists who work full-time to maintain his fleet. This team costs him about $2 million per year. That's more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime just to keep his cars running smoothly. Here's something that might blow your mind. The Sultan often discards six-figure luxury rides after just a single weekend before moving on to the next acquisition. It's like he's playing a real-life version of Grand Theft Auto, but with unlimited funds and no consequences. And if you thought 110 garages were impressive, wait till you hear about the 30,000 car parking facility next to his beachfront villas. That's not a typo, 30,000. It's like he's preparing for a scenario where every citizen of a small country decides to park their car at his place. The Sultan's car collection is so extensive and valuable that it's considered the single largest and most valuable private compilation of unique cars on Earth. It's not just about quantity, though. The quality and rarity of these vehicles are off the charts. Floating palaces. The Sultan of Brunei has a yacht collection that would make even the most seasoned sea captain green with envy. When it comes to floating palaces, the Sultan doesn't mess around. His fleet includes some of the most impressive vessels you'll ever see on the water. We're talking about yachts so luxurious they make cruise ships look like rubber duckies in a bathtub. One of the most notable ships in his collection is aptly named Tits. Yes, you heard that right. And in true Sultan fashion, he didn't stop there. This yacht has a smaller companion vessel called Nipple. It seems even the uber-wealthy can appreciate a bit of humor. But the crown jewel of the Sultan's fleet is the Serene. At 134 meters long, this beast of a yacht is one of the largest and most luxurious in the world. Built by Fincantieri, it's not just big, it's packed with amenities that would put most five-star resorts to shame. We're talking multiple swimming pools, 2 helipads, and get this, a submarine hangar. Because why settle for exploring the surface when you can dive deep? If you thought that was impressive, wait till you hear about the Prince Abdul Mateen. This monster spans 201 meters and is basically a floating fortress. It's equipped with bulletproof windows, military-grade radar, and anti-missile defense systems. Talk about sailing in style and safety. But it's not all about defense. The interior of Prince Abdul Mateen is where things get really wild. Picture this, a grand concert hall, a revolving stage, gold leaf gilded elevators, and ballrooms where renowned artists perform. It's like a luxury hotel, a concert venue, and a military vessel all rolled into one. Now you might be wondering how much all this floating luxury costs. Well, brace yourself. The Sultan's yacht collection is valued at over $1 billion, with the Prince Abdul Mateen alone costing around $650 million. That's more than most people will earn in several lifetimes, all floating on water. When it comes to comparing yacht collections, the Sultan of Brunei is in a league of his own. While other billionaires might have one or two impressive yachts, the Sultan's fleet stands out not just for its size, but for the advanced security features and luxury amenities. These aren't just boats, they're floating palaces that host high-profile guests, including dignitaries and celebrities. The Sultan's yachts are equipped with state-of-the-art technology and luxurious interiors that set a high standard even among the world's wealthiest individuals. It's a testament to his immense wealth and status, reflecting a lifestyle of unparalleled luxury and opulence. Taking to the skies. While most of us are cramped in economy class, the Sultan of Brunei soars through the clouds in a fleet of aircraft that would make even the most seasoned aviation enthusiast weak at the knees. But just how extensive is this aerial armada, and what kind of luxuries does it offer? Let's start with the numbers, because they're truly staggering. The Sultan doesn't just have a private jet or two. No, he's got a whopping 120 aircraft at his disposal. That's right, 120. It's enough to make you wonder if he's planning to start his own airline. This impressive collection includes jets, props and helicopters, covering all his air travel needs from short hops to long-haul flights. But it's not just about quantity. The quality of these aircraft is equally mind-blowing. Take, for example, his two Boeing Dreamliners. These aren't your standard commercial planes. They're part of the Royal Brunei Airlines VIP state fleet, customized to meet the Sultan's exacting standards of luxury. Imagine stepping onto a plane with private living rooms, ensuite showers and fully lie-flat beds. It's like a five-star hotel that just happens to fly at 35,000 feet. And the amenities don't stop there. These Dreamliners are equipped with 40-inch monitors and in-flight chef kitchens ready to serve gourmet meals. So, while you're nibbling on your tiny bag of pretzels on your next flight, just remember that somewhere out there, the Sultan is probably enjoying a freshly prepared feast at cruising altitude. For shorter trips around Brunei's 16 districts, the Sultan opts for Sikorsky helicopters. But don't think these are your run-of-the-mill choppers. They're custom-fitted with luxury specifications that would put most penthouse suites to shame. Now you might be thinking, where does he keep all these aircraft? Well, the Sultan's got that covered too. He has two private hangars that house another 100 aircraft exclusively for VIP politicians and dignitaries. It's like he's running his own exclusive airport for the world's elite. But the crown jewel of his aviation collection has to be his private Boeing 747. This isn't just any jumbo jet, it features a sink made out of solid gold. And not just any gold sink. This one alone cost $120 million. That's more than most people will spend on their homes in their entire lifetime, all for a place to wash his hands. The Sultan's generosity with his air fleet extends to his family too. He once gifted his daughter her own private plane as a birthday present, because nothing says happy birthday quite like your own personal aircraft, right? These aren't just showpieces gathering dust in a hangar. The Sultan and his family actively use these aircraft for both international and domestic travels. It ensures they can zip around the globe or tour their kingdom in unparalleled comfort and style. Palaces fit for a sultan. This isn't just any palace, it's the largest residential palace on the entire planet. We're talking over 2 million square feet of floor space. That's more than twice the size of the Palace of Versailles. It's so massive that you could fit both Buckingham Palace and the White House inside it and still have room for a game of polo. But size isn't everything, right? Well, the Sultan made sure this palace has it all. It boasts 1,788 rooms, including 257 bathrooms. That's more bathrooms than some small towns have. Imagine never having to wait in line for the shower again. The palace also features 5 swimming pools, because why settle for just one when you can have 5? Now let's talk about the finer details. The Istana Nurul Iman Palace has a dome made of 22-carat gold. Yes, you heard that right. Gold, and it's not just the dome. The palace is decked out with 24-carat gold trimmings throughout. Even the doors are works of art, made from exotic Brazilian wood and inlaid with sterling silver patterns. But wait, there's more. The palace includes a power room that only the Sultan and his closest family can access. This room features over 3,000 chandeliers and advanced telecommunications equipment. It's like a secret lair straight out of a James Bond movie. And let's not forget about the grounds. The palace isn't just a building, it's a whole complex. It includes Olympic-sized swimming pools, tennis courts, badminton zones, and even man-made beaches with imported white sand. There's also a mosque that can accommodate 1,500 worshippers, and a banquet hall that can host up to 5,000 guests. It's like having a small city at your doorstep. Now you might think that one palace is enough for any ruler. But not for the Sultan of Brunei. He owns around 12 more sprawling palaces and luxury estates across Brunei. One of these is a 700-room palace compound along Brunei's northern beaches, used exclusively for holiday getaways. Because everyone needs a vacation home, right? But the Sultan's real estate empire doesn't stop at the borders of Brunei. His family owns properties all over the world. They have an entire street of historic 10-bedroom villas near Kensington Palace Gardens in London. They also own a Scottish castle that was featured in the film Gladiator. And if that's not enough, they've got the Beverly Hills Hotel in Los Angeles. The Sultan's family doesn't just own regular properties. They've got some of the world's most iconic historic palace hotels. We're talking about places like the Plaza in New York, Hotel de Paris in Monte Carlo, and Hotel Eden in Rome. It's like they've collected the monopoly board of real-life luxury properties. A day in the life of royalty. Imagine waking up in a room larger than most houses, surrounded by gold-trimmed furniture and priceless art. That's just the start of the Sultan's day. While most of us stumble out of bed and reach for our phones, the Sultan's morning routine is a bit different. He's greeted by a team of personal attendants ready to cater to his every whim. Breakfast for the Sultan isn't your average bowl of cereal. We're talking about gourmet meals prepared by world-class chefs, using ingredients that cost more than most people's monthly grocery bills. And it's not just the food that's luxurious. Even the plates and cutlery are likely worth more than your car. After breakfast, it's time for the Sultan to get dressed. But this isn't a quick grab whatever's clean situation. The Sultan's wardrobe is larger than most boutiques, filled with custom-made suits, shoes, and accessories. Each outfit is carefully selected and prepared by a team of stylists. While you and I might hop in our cars and brave the morning traffic, the Sultan has a slightly different commute. He might choose to take one of his 9,000 luxury cars, or perhaps he's in the mood for a helicopter ride. Traffic jams. Not a problem when you can literally fly over them. The Sultan's workday involves managing the affairs of his country, but it's a far cry from your average 9 to 5. His office is more like a throne room, and his meetings often involve dignitaries and world leaders. Even his lunch breaks are extravagant. According to our research, the Sultan often indulges in $1,000 per plate meals featuring rare ingredients like Italian truffles and Russian caviar. After work, while most of us might hit the gym or catch up on our favorite shows, the Sultan has slightly different leisure activities. He might take a dip in one of his 5 swimming pools, play a round of polo on his private grounds, or perhaps take a stroll through his personal zoo. Yes, you heard that right. The Sultan has his own zoo with exotic animals. Evenings for the Sultan are often filled with lavish events and parties. Imagine hosting gatherings where internationally renowned performers entertain and guests receive lavish gifts just for attending. It's like the most extravagant wedding you've ever been to, but it happens regularly at the Sultan's palace. When it's time to wind down, the Sultan retires to his quarters in the Istana Nurul Iman Palace. Remember, this isn't just any bedroom. It's part of the largest residential palace in the world, with over 1,788 rooms and 257 bathrooms. The Sultan's personal suite probably makes most 5-star hotel penthouses look like budget motels. Now let's contrast this with the life of an average person in Brunei. While they benefit from free social services like healthcare and education, thanks to the Sultan's rule, their daily lives are vastly different. They live under strict Islamic Sharia law imposed by the Sultan, and while they might enjoy a comfortable standard of living compared to some other countries, it's a far cry from the opulence of the royal family. The average Bruneian doesn't wake up in a gold-trimmed room, doesn't have a fleet of luxury cars at their disposal, and certainly doesn't have meals that cost $1,000 per plate. They go about their days much like people in any other country, working, studying, and living within their means, spending billions. Imagine having your own style of buying stuff, because Sultan doesn't just buy things, he buys things made of gold. Remember that Boeing 747 we mentioned earlier? Well, it turns out the sink on that plane is made of solid gold, and we're not talking about a little gold-plated faucet here. This sink alone cost a staggering $120 million. That's right, the Sultan spent more on a single sink than most people will earn in their entire lives, but the extravagance doesn't stop there. The Sultan seems to have a thing for birthdays. For his 50th, he threw what's considered the most expensive birthday party in history. The price tag, a cool $27 million. To put that in perspective, that's enough money to buy about 90 Ferraris. But instead of sports cars, the Sultan opted for a 2-week celebration that included a custom-built stadium and performances by Michael Jackson. And get this, he paid Michael Jackson $17 million for just 3 live shows. Talk about a party to remember. When it comes to day-to-day spending, the Sultan doesn't exactly pinch pennies. He reportedly spends around $20,000 a day just to maintain his lifestyle. That includes things like keeping his palace running, paying his staff, and of course maintaining his massive collection of cars, yachts and planes. Speaking of cars, the Sultan's spending habits in this area are truly mind-boggling. He often buys luxury vehicles only to use them for a weekend before moving on to the next shiny toy. It's like he's playing a real-life version of Grand Theft Auto, but with unlimited funds and no consequences. But it's not just about personal indulgences. The Sultan's spending habits extend to his family as well. He once gifted his daughter her own private plane, because nothing says "I love you" quite like a personal aircraft, right? Now you might be thinking, surely there must be a limit to this extravagance? Well, apparently not. The Sultan's brother, Prince Jeffrey, reportedly spent an average of $747,000 a day for 10 years straight. That's over $2.7 billion in total. And what did he spend it on? Well, according to reports, he gave away $17 billion in gifts to friends and family. Talk about being generous with other people's money. But perhaps the most mind-blowing aspect of the Sultan's spending habits is how casual it all seems. For most of us, buying a new car is a major life event. For the Sultan, it's just another Tuesday. He reportedly discards six-figure luxury rides after just a single weekend before moving on to the next acquisition. The Sultan's spending habits aren't just about material possessions, though. He also throws lavish events and parties on a regular basis. Even the guest arrival processions are extravagant, involving red carpets, flower necklaces, and gifts. It's like the Oscars, but every day and with more gold. Investing a royal fortune. You might be wondering how he manages to keep that wealth flowing. After all, even billions can dry up if you're not careful. So how does the Sultan invest his royal fortune? Well, it turns out he's not just about fancy cars and yachts. He's got a pretty savvy business mind too. The Sultan's investment strategy is like a game of Monopoly on steroids. He's not just buying properties, he's acquiring entire industries. The cornerstone of his wealth comes from Brunei's vast oil and natural gas reserves. But the Sultan doesn't just sit back and let the oil flow. He's actively involved in managing these resources through direct control of the industry. Imagine having your finger on the pulse of your country's entire energy sector. That's the kind of power the Sultan wields. He's got full executive control over Brunei's economic activities, which means he can make decisions about oil and gas exports faster than you can say black gold. But the Sultan's not putting all his eggs in one oil barrel. He's diversified his portfolio with investments that span the globe. We're talking prime real estate that would make a New York realtor weep with envy. The Sultan owns the Beverly Hills Hotel in Los Angeles, historic villas next to Kensington Palace Gardens in London, and even a Scottish castle that's been featured in Hollywood movies. It's like he's collecting properties from a luxury version of Monopoly. And it doesn't stop there. The Sultan's family has their fingers in many pies. His extended family runs successful commercial ventures abroad. Prince Martin, for example, is at the helm of a technology unicorn called Swag Tech, valued at over $15 billion. Meanwhile, Prince Aim is making waves in Hollywood, managing film production houses. It's like the royal family has its own version of Shark Tank going on. But wait, there's more. The Sultan's family also holds stakes in numerous franchise distributions across Asia. We're talking luxury brands like Rolls-Royce, Cartier and Ducati. So not only do they own the cars, but they also profit from selling them to others. Talk about having your cake and eating it too. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds pretty traditional for a wealthy person, and you'd be right. But here's where the Sultan's investment strategy gets interesting. He essentially runs his empire like a massive, profitable global holding corporation. But here's the twist. It's all guided by Islamic principles, blending commercial pursuits with charity. Compared to other wealthy individuals, the Sultan's investment approach is unique in its level of direct control. While other billionaires might diversify through stocks and bonds, the Sultan prefers to have his hands on the wheel of his investments. It's like he's playing a real-life version of SimCity, but instead of pixels, he's dealing with actual countries and industries. The crown jewels, starting with his watch collection. The Sultan doesn't just own a few nice timepieces, he's got a collection that would make even the most dedicated horologist green with envy. We're talking about watches that are more like works of art than simple timekeeping devices. Many of these watches are custom-made and embedded with rare diamonds and precious stones. Imagine wearing the GDP of a small country on your wrist. That's the level of luxury we're dealing with here. But watches are just the beginning. The Sultan's collection of jewelry is equally impressive. He's got enough bling to make a rapper look underdressed. We're talking about necklaces, rings and bracelets adorned with some of the rarest and most valuable gems in the world. These aren't just pretty trinkets. They're investments that contribute significantly to his net worth. Now let's talk about the Sultan's taste in art. His palaces aren't just filled with gold and marble. They're also home to priceless masterpieces. The Sultan has amassed a collection of rare artifacts and artworks that would make museum curators weep. From ancient relics to contemporary masterpieces, his collection spans centuries and continents. But perhaps the most unique items in the Sultan's collection are his custom-made luxury items. We're not just talking about tailor-made suits or bespoke shoes. The Sultan takes customization to a whole new level. Remember that gold-plated sink in his private jet? That's just the beginning. He's got items that are so unique, so extravagant, that they're literally one of a kind. These aren't just random purchases. They're carefully curated investments. Each rare watch, each priceless gem, each unique artifact adds to the Sultan's overall net worth. It's like he's created his own personal Fort Knox, filled not with gold bars, but with items that are often far more valuable. The value of these collectibles isn't just in their price tags, it's in their rarity. Many of the Sultan's possessions are so unique that their value is almost impossible to calculate. How do you put a price on something that's truly one of a kind? This exclusivity adds an extra layer of value to his already impressive net worth. So next time you're browsing a luxury watch store or admiring a piece of art in a museum, just remember, somewhere out there, the Sultan of Brunei probably has something even more impressive locked away in one of his many vaults. It's a collection that goes beyond luxury. It's a testament to the heights of opulence that unlimited wealth can achieve. Royal influence, wealth and perception. We've seen the Sultan's lavish spending habits and jaw-dropping collections, but how does all this wealth and extravagance affect his public image? It's one thing to own golden sinks and custom-made supercars, but it's another to be a ruler responsible for an entire nation. The Sultan's immense fortune doesn't just buy him fancy toys. It shapes how the world sees him and his country. When you're sitting on billions of dollars, people tend to pay attention. The Sultan's wealth has made him a global figure, known far beyond the borders of Brunei. His extravagant lifestyle has become almost legendary, with stories of his possessions and spending habits circulating in media around the world. But this attention isn't always positive. The Sultan's public image is a complex mix of admiration and criticism. On one hand, his wealth symbolizes the prosperity of Brunei, a tiny nation that's punched above its weight economically thanks to its oil reserves. Many Bruneians benefit from the country's wealth through free healthcare, education, and other social services. In this light, the Sultan is seen as a benevolent ruler who shares his country's riches with his people. But on the flip side, the Sultan's opulent lifestyle has drawn criticism, especially in recent years. The stark contrast between his multi-billion-dollar palace and the lives of ordinary Bruneians has raised eyebrows, and it's not just about the money, it's about the policies too. In 2019, the Sultan made headlines for all the wrong reasons when he introduced strict Islamic Sharia law in Brunei. This move, which included severe punishments for behaviors like adultery and same-sex activities, drew international condemnation. Suddenly, the Sultan wasn't just known for his golden jets and fancy cars. He was at the center of a global human rights controversy. This clash between the Sultan's luxurious lifestyle and his country's strict moral laws has had a significant impact on his global reputation. It's created a contradiction that's hard for many to reconcile. How can a ruler who indulges in such extravagance impose such stringent rules on his people? The Sultan's wealth also plays a big role in diplomatic relations. When you can throw the most expensive birthday party in history, which the Sultan did for his 50th, spending $27 million, you tend to attract some high-profile guests. Politicians, royals, and celebrities from around the world have attended the Sultan's events, creating a unique form of soft power. But this influence works both ways. In response to Brunei's Sharia laws, international figures like George Clooney, Ellen DeGeneres, and Elton John called for boycotts of hotels owned by the Sultan. Suddenly, the very wealth that gave the Sultan influence became a point of vulnerability. Compared to other wealthy monarchs, the Sultan of Brunei stands out for the sheer scale of his fortune and the openness with which he displays it. While other royals might try to downplay their wealth or present a more relatable image, the Sultan seems to embrace his status as one of the world's richest men. Family fortunes. The Sultan isn't the only one living like royalty in Brunei. There's a whole extended family enjoying the perks of his immense fortune. While the Sultan's spending habits might seem extravagant, wait until you hear about his relatives. They take luxury to a whole new level. Let's start with Prince Jeffrey Bolkiah, the Sultan's younger brother. He's known for his, shall we say, enthusiastic approach to spending. How enthusiastic? Well, he once spent an average of $747,000 a day for 10 years straight. That's over $2.7 billion in total. Most people would struggle to spend that much if they tried. But for Prince Jeffrey, it was just another decade. What did he spend all that money on? Apparently a good chunk of it went to gifts. Prince Jeffrey reportedly gave away $17 billion in presents to friends and family. Talk about being generous with other people's money. But he didn't stop there. His personal collection of luxuries was equally impressive. We're talking about 10 luxury watches worth $8 million, thousands of Versace and Armani suits, and a gold-plated yacht. But Prince Jeffrey's spending habits haven't always been well received. In 2001, he was forced to auction off his possessions after using the country's wealth as his personal piggy bank. It seems even in a family as wealthy as this, there are limits to extravagance. Moving on to the younger generation, we have Prince Mateen, one of the Sultan's sons. He's made a name for himself as a social media influencer, showcasing the family's lavish lifestyle to his millions of followers. From polo matches to private jet travels, Prince Mateen gives the world a glimpse into what it's like to be young, rich and royal. Then there's Princess Azima, another of the Sultan's children. She's known for her love of equestrian sports and has represented Brunei in international competitions. When your dad's the Sultan, you don't just get a pony for your birthday. You get world-class training and the best horses money can buy. But it's not all about spending. Some family members are contributing to the family fortune too. Prince Mateen, for example, is making waves in the tech world. He's at the helm of a company called Swag Tech, valued at over $15 billion. It seems the entrepreneurial spirit runs in the family. Prince Azim, another of the Sultan's sons, has taken a different path. He's made a name for himself in Hollywood, managing film production houses. When your family's net worth is in the billions, why not try your hand at making movies? The extended royal family also owns numerous luxury properties around the world. We're talking about a street of historic villas in London, a Scottish castle, ski chalets in the Swiss Alps, and ownership stakes in high-profile hotels like the Plaza in New York and Hotel Eden in Rome. It's like they're playing Monopoly, but with real-world landmarks. All this wealth and luxury comes with its fair share of controversy. The family's lavish lifestyle stands in stark contrast to the lives of ordinary Bruneians. And then there are the scandals. Prince Jeffrey, for instance, has been involved in numerous controversies, including accusations of holding women hostage and forcing them into sexual activities, philanthropy and public works. The Sultan's philanthropy isn't just about writing checks, it's woven into the fabric of Brunei's social structure. He set up a system where the royal family single-handedly pays for all social services in the country. That means free healthcare and education for every citizen. It's like having a rich uncle who covers all your bills, but for an entire nation. But the Sultan's generosity doesn't stop at basic services. He's known to make grand gestures that directly benefit his people. After throwing a multi-million-dollar birthday bash for himself, he raised the salaries of Brunei's civil servants. It's like he's saying, thanks for coming to my party, here's a raise. Not a bad deal if you're a government employee in Brunei. The Sultan also oversees the Brunei Investment Agency, which manages the country's wealth and invests in various sectors. This isn't just about making more money. It's about ensuring economic stability and growth for the nation. It's like he's playing a real-life version of Sim City, but with actual lives at stake. But how does the Sultan's philanthropy stack up against other billionaires? While figures like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have given substantial portions of their fortunes to global causes, the Sultan's approach is more focused on his own backyard. He's not trying to solve world hunger or eradicate diseases globally. He's concentrating on maintaining Brunei's high standard of living. The Sultan's family also runs numerous successful commercial ventures abroad, including technology companies, film production houses, and luxury skincare labels. But here's the kicker. These ventures don't just line their pockets, they contribute to various charitable causes, creating a cycle of wealth and giving. Even the Sultan's palace plays a role in his philanthropic efforts. It includes facilities used for hosting diplomatic meetings, business symposiums, and glamorous celebrations attended by foreign diplomats. It's like he's using his home as a tool for fostering international relations and goodwill. However, it's worth noting that despite these philanthropic activities, the Sultan's reputation isn't spotless. The implementation of strict Sharia law in Brunei has drawn international criticism, casting a shadow over his charitable efforts. It's a reminder that even billions in philanthropy can't always outweigh controversial policies. Economic impact on Brunei. Brunei's economy is like a well-oiled machine, quite literally. With oil and gas making up a whopping 99% of the country's exports, it's safe to say that the Sultan's control over these resources gives him an iron grip on the nation's economic steering wheel. It's as if he's playing a real-life version of Monopoly, but instead of properties, he's dealing with entire industries. The Sultan's influence on Brunei's economy goes far beyond just controlling the oil taps. As an absolute constitutional monarch, he has supreme control over all major economic decisions. Imagine having the power to approve or veto any business deal in your country. That's the kind of authority we're talking about here. It's like he's the CEO, CFO, and board of directors all rolled into one royal package. But it's not just about control, it's about how that control is used. The Sultan's economic policies have helped Brunei maintain one of the highest per capita incomes in the world. How high? We're talking about a GDP per capita that would make most countries green with envy. It's like the entire country hit the jackpot and the Sultan is the one holding the winning ticket. One of the most significant ways the Sultan's wealth impacts Brunei's economy is through government subsidies. Remember those free social services we mentioned earlier? They're not just acts of royal generosity, they're a key part of Brunei's economic structure. The Sultan uses his vast resources to provide healthcare, education, and other services to all citizens. It's like having a rich uncle who pays all your bills, but for an entire nation. But how does Brunei's economic situation stack up against its neighbors? Well, it's a bit like comparing a luxury yacht to a fleet of fishing boats. While Brunei enjoys one of the world's highest per capita incomes, many of its neighbors like Indonesia and Malaysia have more diversified economies but don't enjoy the same level of wealth per capita. It's a stark contrast that highlights just how much impact the Sultan's wealth and policies have on Brunei's economic landscape. However, it's not all smooth sailing in this sea of oil wealth. Brunei's heavy reliance on hydrocarbons makes its economy vulnerable to fluctuations in global oil prices. It's like putting all your eggs in one very expensive oil-filled basket. The Sultan and his advisors are well aware of this risk, which is why they've been working on diversifying the economy. But old habits die hard, especially when those habits have made you one of the richest people on the planet. The Brunei Investment Agency, chaired by the Sultan himself, plays a crucial role in managing the country's wealth. This agency oversees a $40 billion international portfolio spreading investments across various sectors. It's like a royal game of financial chess, with the Sultan making moves to secure Brunei's economic future.